Morant with a running start. Elevate! Oh, it dunks! Oh, my goodness!
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone! Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now a three. Count it! A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant! Oh, he hit it! John Morant, insanity!
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Desmond Bane got traded edition. My name is Keith Parrish. The Grizzlies have traded Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic, a blockbuster trade, a shocking trade for us Grizzlies fans. They broke up their big three, quite obviously, and they traded Desmond for a haul of draft picks. So, on today's episode, I'm going to talk about this huge trade. Before I do, just a reminder, if you want to support the creation of this show, if you want to join my listener Slack channel and get some bonus content, you can do all of that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Okay. What a blockbuster. What a shock. What a way to start Father's Day. Desmond Bane sent to the Orlando Magic for numerous first-round picks. However you count those first-round picks is possibly up for debate, but 3 of the first-round picks are very strong. We have the 16th pick in this year's draft, so that's a tangible pick that you know exactly what it is. So the Grizzlies get back in this year's draft. Do I know anything about this year's draft class? No, absolutely nothing. I look forward to trying to find out something before next Wednesday's first round. But the Grizzlies get back in this year's draft. They get the 16th pick from the Magic. They also get, as of reporting that I've seen so far this Sunday, they get the Magic's 2028 and 2030 unprotected first-round picks. So they get 3 first-round picks from the Magic. They also get a pick swap in 2029 from the Magic, which is top 2 protected. So that's a significant pick swap in 2029. They also get a pick swap in 2026, and this one is very confusing. As best I understand it right now, this is barely a pick. This is a pick swap that the Grizzlies were already involved in. This 2026 pick swap from the Suns that the Grizzlies have acquired, again, caveat, as best I can understand it right now, it was a 4-way pick swap between the Suns, the Wizards, the Magic, and the Grizzlies. The Suns got the worst of those 4 teams' first-round picks. The Grizzlies got the second worst, or the third best. The Magic got the second best. The Wizards get the best one. Now, the Magic have removed themselves from the equation, and the Grizzlies will get the second best draft pick of the Suns, Wizards, and their own pick in 2026. So the Grizzlies did not pick up another first-round pick. The Grizzlies have 1 first-round pick in 2026. They still have 1 first-round pick in 2026. They just have increased the odds that their pick could improve. Also, the swap might not happen if the Grizzlies have like a worse record than the Suns or the Wizards, then nothing happens. But also the Suns and Wizards might be horrible in 2026. So this does have maybe a little bit of really solid upside. Like what if the Wizards and Suns are both top 10 worst teams? Although the Wizards pick swap, I think, is protected 1 through 8. When I said this was confusing, I was not lying. So I think ideally we want the Suns to finish with like a top 5 worst record, the Wizards to finish with maybe the 9th worst record, and then I think the Grizzlies could jump up to 9. Did you follow that? It's fine if you didn't. But regardless, the Grizzlies got 3 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, plus another swap, plus another kind of weird-ish swap. They also get veteran role players in Kentavious, Caldwell-Pope, and Cole Anthony. This move gives the Grizzlies, of course, all those future draft assets. It gets them another player for the roster next year or a couple more because you're adding an extra player in Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You're sending out one player, getting two players back, plus you're getting a draft pick in this year's draft back. You're getting the 16th pick. So they're adding more players. The on-court product for the Grizzlies, it's interesting. Like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, very useful role player. He had a not amazing season for the Magic last year. He shot 34% from the three-point line. He didn't make his three-pointers in the playoffs. He averaged less than 9 points per game. Removed from being a teammate of Nikola Jokic, KCP's numbers didn't look as good. But still, he's a quality 3-and-D starter. Hopefully, and I think it's actually likely, playing on a team with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., he's going to get some nice looks from three-pointer. He could bounce back. There also certainly is the risk he's cooked. He's been in the league for 13 years, or this will be his 13th season coming up. He is over 30. He might be done. Also, he has a player option for 2026, 2027. That's a bad deal. So this is not a great contract the Grizzlies are picking up, but you can, I think, as a Grizzlies fan, talk yourself maybe into it because he is a very good 3-and-D player. Also, Cole Anthony is a solid NBA rotation guy. His deal has a team option for 2026, 2027. That makes it, I think, a very attractive trade chip. Not only is Cole Anthony a useful bench guard in the NBA, but being able to trade a contract, a $13 million contract, having that as matching salary with a team option to decline to get it off your books for next season is a very attractive trade chip. So this move has given the Grizzlies a lot of options for what they could be doing this offseason. It gives them a lot of ways to build around Ja and Jaren and also Zach Edey. It doesn't get them closer to winning immediately, and so that makes it an interesting deal. But I think the overwhelming response nationally from NBA analysts and the feeling probably that you have is like that is a big haul for Desmond Bane, a guy who has not ever made an all-star team, a guy who's coming off a pretty rough playoff performance. He averaged 15 points per game against the Thunder. He averaged almost 4 turnovers per game against the Thunder. It was a bad showing in the postseason. Of course, he has a large contract that's kicking in. I think it had been a question. It's a fair question that we've been batting about. How much more can this Grizzlies core, or the old Grizzlies core of Ja and Desmond and Jaren, or Ja, Desmond, Jaren, and Edey, if you want to include him, how much more could they improve with the limitations, some of them self-imposed, with the salary limitations that the Grizzlies had? And now this deal, even if you kind of thought, listen, we can still build around our core and we're still quite good, this deal feels so aggressive from the Magic, you can understand them saying, okay, we kind of have to do this. But I am still kind of in a state where my head is spinning a little bit. I mean, Desmond Bane, he has been so good for the Grizzlies the past several seasons. Some of his all-time numbers in franchise history, he's 10th in franchise history in points. He's 9th in assists. He's 3rd in three-pointers made. He has like the 4 best free throw seasons in franchise history. He's 1st in franchise history in free throw percentage. He, in the postseason, I mean, he spearheaded the Grizzlies' only playoff series win in the last 10 years. Against the Timberwolves, he averaged 23.5 points per game in that series. He had back-to-back 30-point games against the Lakers in 2023. He has 2 of the top 6 single-game scoring performances in franchise history. He is an elite NBA player. He should be a great fit on the Magic. He's absolutely, I think, a perfect fit for the Magic. They need a scorer. They need another guy who can distribute the basketball a little bit. This is a move the Magic have made, probably looking at the Eastern Conference, looking at the Celtics' catastrophic injury concerns and salary issues, looking at the Pacers making it to the finals, the Magic saying the East is wide open. let's go get Desmond Bane. Let's make this happen. Hopefully all these picks we're giving up aren't going to be that good. So it is quite the move. Now, some of the ramifications for the Grizzlies, some of the interesting parts of this, it now makes them very able to go out and make other deals. Previously, I said we're limited in the things we can offer if you want to keep your team competitive, because how can you trade and go get a Kevin Durant or a Giannis Antetokounmpo? Now, you still have issues with this deal where you can't aggregate the salaries back together this offseason, but later at the trade deadline this year, I mean, you could combine the contracts of KCP and Cole Anthony to basically trade for anybody. Throw in a Conchar with that, throw in a Brandon Clark. You can basically trade for absolutely anyone, even if you don't aggregate the salaries. Like right now, KCP's contract is big enough that you can bring back any player making less than $29 million. Do you want to finally make that Cam Johnson deal? Cam Johnson plus some of these picks you just picked up, maybe you can make that happen. There are plenty of other players out there making $29 million or less that you can now trade for if you attach KCP. You can bring back a guy making $20 million by using Cole Anthony, who again has a team option in 2026, 2027. Cole Anthony plus a couple picks. Maybe you can bring in a really high quality starter. So that gives the Grizzlies some options there. Interestingly, because of the added player you're adding to the roster for next year in the 16th pick, and because you turned Desmond Bane into 2 other contracts, interestingly, this decreases the amount of cap space available. We spent so much energy talking about the Grizzlies' ability to try to renegotiate and extend Jaren Jackson Jr. This moves them further from that goal as far as we can tell. Of course, this massive shakeup also means maybe more big changes are on the way. But without moving on from any other salary, right now the Grizzlies have less cap space than they did by making this deal. Again, when we think about the upcoming 2025-2026 season, because with the added salary slot due to the 16th pick, the Grizzlies, I think, only have like $4.5 million of cap space. So I don't know what that means, as they seem to move further away from being able to give Jaren a competitive offer on a renegotiation and extension. Also, looking at the roster, now with Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, you have increased the number of guaranteed contracts for next season from 11 to 12. You also, if you pick up the 16th pick, if you keep that pick, that's your 13th player. This is not including Santi Aldama, restricted free agent. If you keep Santi Aldama, that's your 14th player. If you give Cam Spencer a standard contract, as many people believe is going to happen, that's 15 roster players. But again, so much is moving, and this is such a monumental shift for the core. Maybe we don't need to get too carried away counting the players that are going to be on the roster. Now, one, I think, optimistic take on this trade, beyond just the draft picks, if you want to think about the basketball fit, the actual basketball fit, because I think like losing Desmond Bane hurts. I love Desmond Bane. Maybe my favorite player on the team currently, or was my favorite player on the team. This is an all-time great Grizzlies player, like I was pointing out. I think when you think about where we were at many years ago, looking like we had one of the brightest futures in the NBA, you think about the window that the Grizzlies were in for winning and how it hasn't gone that well. You think about the careers of Ja and Jaren and that they're in their primes of their careers. You're thinking, we're trying to win right now. How does a 2030 first-round pick when Ja and Jaren are 30 years old, how does that help me get out of the first round this year or even next year or even 2 years from now? Of course, those resources you brought in, those assets, can be exchanged for other things that can help you win right now. But even beyond that, I think there's an optimistic take when you look at the fit on paper of what they've done. When you bring in a championship level role player in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a guy who doesn't normally miss games, you think about the low usage 3-and-D role of KCP, and I think you can dream of a on paper fit. Ja Morant with a healthy KCP, with a year 2, hopefully improved Jalen Wells, plus Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey, on paper, that seems really good. If you're getting your offense, you're getting most of your shots from Ja and Jaren and also Zach Edey. Having 3 and D guys to space the court, like that's a no weak link scenario. And I think you can talk yourself into it being something akin to the Rudy Gay trade, where the Grizzlies somewhat unpopularly moved Rudy Gay for a very low usage Tayshaun Prince, and the Grizzlies had more success after doing that. I think you could optimistically talk yourself into it being something like that. Now, I do not think, to be clear, I don't think moving on from Desmond Bane makes the Grizzlies better. I think it actually really raises more questions for what the offense is going to look like in a postseason series. Who's going to get you some buckets? Like that seems actually much harder if a team can focus even more on Jaren, sending doubles to Jaren and triples to Jaren, knowing, all right, we have a 34% KCP shooter out there, Jaws out there on the perimeter. So like there are obviously huge questions for how this affects the Grizzlies on the court. But I think you could at least say, okay, those guys, Cole Anthony and KCP, can contribute. They are veterans. They're proven NBA players. They're good guys to have in your rotation. I mean, even Cole Anthony is a useful guy to have around. I know I'm going to include him in every fake trade I come up with until he finally leaves the roster. Yes, I'm going to include Cole Anthony in every fake trade I come up with for the near future. However, I don't think there's any reason to necessarily just like get rid of him immediately. I don't think like, oh, we have Ja Morant and Scottie Pippen Jr. We don't need Cole Anthony. No, false. For me, of course, Ja Morant misses a lot of games. I don't think having just Ja and Scottie Pippen Jr. is enough. Having a tough, gutty, veteran competitor like Cole Anthony, a guy who's hit a bunch of game winners in his career, I think that's great to have on your roster. It's great to have around. Also, Tomas Izolo, supposedly with Paris basketball, he had a bunch of small guards doing a bunch of great work. Maybe Cole Anthony can work well into that situation if he's still around when training camp or this season starts. Now, wrapping up, I guess the bullet points of this, I mean, getting this many first-round picks for Desmond Bane plus useful players. Again, I think on paper, Kentavious, Caldwell-Pope, and Cole Anthony, very useful players to add to your roster. Getting this many picks is an impressive haul, but also I would like to at least not like take victory laps on what seems like a good trade, even if you remove your emotions about it, about losing Desmond Bane. I feel like the way the NBA is covered, like people praise winning trades so much, but like winning a trade, even if the Grizzlies did win this trade, like again, it's hard to say who won a trade the day it happened, but saying, okay, we got 3 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks or 5 first-round picks for Desmond Bane. Winning that trade, acquiring first-round picks for good players is way easier than winning a playoff series. Like, I understand this is an offer we can't turn down. I also understand saying we're capped out. Ja, Desmond, and Jaren together, we're capped out. We can't turn down an offer of 3 firsts and 2 swaps. But winning the media cycle for accruing assets is not actually winning basketball games. Winning the basketball games is actually harder. So I hope this doesn't cause complacency among the fan base or the front office saying, hey, we did a good thing. We finally won a trade. We did a good thing. Look at all these first-round picks we now have. No, I want to win basketball games. We're in Ja Morant. We're in his peak, unless it already passed. We're in Jaren Jackson Jr.'s peak. So, like, now, hopefully they say we have the resources to build a squad that can get past the first round this year, get past the second round this year or next year, that we can finish the job. We can get to the finish line of getting to the NBA Finals. So that's my hope, that this deal launches the Grizzlies into being able to do that, and it doesn't launch them into a like window where we say stuff like, hey, we got a lot of picks coming up. Oh, it's okay that we didn't get out of the first round. We have 5 first-round picks over the next 3 seasons or something. I'm not into that. I don't want that. I know the goal is always to maintain a stable contender that has a long shelf life, but like the key to that is a contender. Grizzlies are not a contender. Trading Desmond Bane in the short term doesn't make you a contender. Now you have to turn all those things you got into on-court product that makes you a contender. Anyways, a couple of more news notes. There actually are a couple of random news items I think interest Grizzlies fans. Taylor Jenkins is interviewing for the Knicks job. That's interesting. Also, beloved former Grizzlies, Steven Adams signed a 3-year deal to stay with the Rockets. 3 years, $39 million, fully guaranteed. Congratulations, Steve-O. Anyways, thanks everybody for listening. Bon voyage, Desmond Bane. Really miss you. Really loved that guy. Great player. Hopefully he does great stuff on the Magic, and hopefully the Grizzlies are able to turn this into a lot of awesome stuff on the court in this upcoming season and the seasons beyond. And also best of luck to everybody trying to learn about the NBA draft in the next 8 days to figure out who the Grizzlies should take at 16. Anyways, if you want to support this show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Thank you so much to everyone who already does that. All right. Happy Father's Day. Hope you have a great Sunday. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz.